Hey guys, and welcome to day 2 of Introduction to Oils. I am obviously at work right now, which shout out to Jill for running the pharmacy while I sit down and do this. I wanted to talk to you about the oils that I have included in your kits. So I strategically chose these because they represent several scent profiles. They represent several kind of areas that oils can produce in effect, and they're different from each other. So I put lemon, sleepies, peppermint, and stress away in your kits. Some of you have some different ones in there because of the promotion. So they have some different blends, but those are the 4 that I'm going to focus on talking about today. So first thing right off the bat that you may notice if you're not used to working with oils is that they are strong. So don't decide that you do or don't like one until you experience it diluted in a carrier oil or diffused. Something that I noticed right away when I started using quality oils is that there's actually a difference in the scent from what I was used to, something being called like lavender fragranced or like cleaning products that say that they are lemon. It doesn't smell the same as it does out of an essential oil bottle of a high quality brand, in my opinion. So a high quality oil straight from the bottle smells therapeutic, not like perfume. So now I can hardly walk down that candle aisle at Target because my senses are trained to kind of recognize synthetic chemicals and recognize when something is fragranced artificially. So my brain kind of calls it out. And now the chemicals actually like give me a headache. So how cool is it that a good oil not only doesn't give me a headache, but can actually have therapeutic properties to help with a headache if I needed it to. So the difference in higher quality and lower end oils is that it can pretty safely be assumed that a cheaper oil is going to be diluted or not as pure, and this is confusing because the label might not tell you that. So a little tidbit on labeling and marketing is that a company is not required to tell the truth. So they can say 100% pure on their label, but what that may mean is that the portion of that ingredient in the bottle is pure. So if you have a 15 milliliter bottle of lemon essential oil and it says 100% pure on the front, it may be referring to the only 5 milliliters of lemon oil that they put in the bottle. That might have been 100% pure, but the other 10 milliliters of it, the rest of the component of that product, might be a carrier oil. It might be a cheaper oil to produce. It might be something synthetic. We don't know. So in contrast to this, with a lower end bottle of essential oils in a 15 milliliter bottle of lemon essential oil from Young Living, which is the company that I endorse. That's the company that I'm a brand partner with. It requires 75 whole lemons to create or to produce the oil that goes into that bottle. So you know it's undiluted. Young Living tests for purity both by internal processes, so an internal lab, and they also have a third party test their products. And that's what makes it pricier, but that's also what gives it its utility. So other things that matter when choosing a quality brand, reputation. So Young Living has been a leading essential oil brand for decades, and many businesses that need essential oils for their services, so massage therapists, behavior therapists, anyone that is needing the oil for its actual therapeutic utility, estheticians, they will use Young Living oils because of their quality. And when you talk about a company with good reputation, with that comes like, where do they get their plants? Where do they get their source? So a quality brand will own and harvest from their own farms. Young Living does this. They've got farms in the U.S. all over the place. They also have some farms abroad because not all of the specific plant species that they use for the oils are native to the United States. So there are some farms that you can go visit. And what's really neat that so many of the Young Living farms are in the United States is that there are regulations on what U.S. farmers can use, whereas overseas, those regulations might not be the same. So I'm talking about pesticides, fertilizers. There are several commonly used pesticides and fertilizers on the banned lists in the United States that are not on those lists overseas. So it says something about quality of the source whenever it's a United States farm and whenever the company gets their products from there. So another important part of deciding if a brand is good or not is the harvesting and the distillation process. So the compounds that are found in the oils that we talked about yesterday on day one are the molecules that make them active. And so the active molecules are what is important in health and wellness, and they're actually really fragile. So if care is not taken when harvesting, distilling, and extracting the oils from these plants, then its activity can actually be destroyed too. And so because of these things, high quality oils come with the price because you get what you pay for. So the reason that it is important to consider quality when talking about oils is because of the things that you want to avoid, the synthetic chemicals, the additives, the unknowns that could be in the oils, but also to get the most potential out of your products, to get the most active ingredients out of the things that you purchase. And then with anything, yesterday we talked about how the oils have access to our membranes, how they're absorbed by the body, how they can even cross that blood-brain barrier, which is kind of your body's mechanism of kind of triaging what gets into the brain and what doesn't. If the oils have access to that, then you want to make sure that it's of the highest quality and purity so that you're not, allowing trash into your body compartments. And when this becomes important to you, when you connect your health with your happiness, then it kind of becomes a blanket thought of what can I do to best nourish the body that I have, to make sure that I'm able to live a long, healthy life of high quality. Because the peace of mind that I get from lowering the levels of toxic chemicals in my daily routines, in my life, in the products that I use on a daily basis, it really is irreplaceable, in my opinion. I will always buy essential oils. I don't ever see a company topping Young Living's quality and purity standards as of now. My mind can be changed, but right now it's not. And it's something that's really important to me, and that's why I love sharing it with the people that are important to me too, because it really does feel like it feeds my life so well. So let's get a little bit more into the specific scents. So the specific oils and kind of where to group them. If you don't know much about it, picking oils can kind of be intimidating to people just starting out, especially, if you're paying more for them because you don't know what you like. So if you're buying quality oils, it is an investment, but you don't want to buy something and then lose out on the money if you simply just don't like the smell of it. So that's why I chose to do some samples of some really palatable scents, in my opinion. I thought it might be fun to test out some simple things and kind of categorize them and see how they affect your mood, and to determine what you like so that you can buy more things like that if you choose to. So talking about aromatherapy is really kind of a catch-all term for essential oils. They so different aromas are split up into several different types. There is a floral type, earthy, citrus, herbaceous, camphoraceous, minty, spicy, and musky. And these are the general ways that we describe scents. So if you'll notice, a lot of these words are the way that perfumes and fragrances are described. So if something smells musky or floral, these don't just apply to oils. It's kind of how we describe scents and odors across the board. So a floral scent would be like the lavender blend that you have in your kit. It's the Sleepy's blend, and it's actually a Kid Sense blend. Kid Sense is the line that Young Living has of like oils that are made for children. These do tend to be more diluted with a carrier oil because they can be used topically for kids. And children are different than adults, and this is kind of a safety parameter that we use, which is important when you're using high-grade oils, because kids absorb more of what we put onto their skin than adults do. So a pure oil might be too much and could even cause some irritation or cause too much absorption. So the Sleepy's is a really easy smell. It's got a combination of lavender, geranium, chamomile, and bergamot, and these work together to generate a feeling, and that is where the therapy part of the aromatherapy term comes in. So in the Sleepy's blend, the lavender, geranium, chamomile, and bergamot components can generate a sense of safety, of security, of coziness, and it's actually the blend that I diffuse at night for my nighttime routine with Cal. One of the other oils I've included is lemon, where most of us are well acquainted with lemon. It's a citrus fruit. It's in the same category as orange and bergamot, and lemon is known to be energizing and invigorating. In this actual bottle of essential oils, it's even got antioxidants. It can help provide immunity and circulatory support, and you can use it in food and beverages too. So I've actually used this in like lemonade because it's actually extracted from the fruit. Another category is herbaceous. So when I think about herbaceous, I think of rosemary and basil and thyme and oregano and tea tree, and these typically have that really kind of grounded smell. They are kind of a mid-tone aroma, and they pair well with other things. So in the Stress Away blend, that would be considered the herbaceous blend that you have in your kits. It includes copaiba, lime, cedarwood, vanilla, ocotea, and lavender. The blend together generates a feeling of peace, of calm, happiness, and positivity. There is camphoraceous, which is kind of the I think of camphor and I think of Vicks VapoRub. And if you've ever used Vicks, that scent comes to mind quickly. It is like a eucalyptus scent. And in Vicks VapoRub, they actually use eucalyptus oil to generate that feeling. Another category is minty, so peppermint and spearmint, and to fall into this category is your peppermint oil that's included. Peppermint actually contains menthol, and it makes it a really invigorating scent, and it also gives a cooling sensation when used topically. So a lot of massage therapists will incorporate peppermint into their massage oils to give a cooling sensation that can soothe muscles. And when taken by mouth or used internally, it promotes a healthy bowel function and supports just overall good digestion. And you can also use peppermint in foods too. Some other categories of aromas are spicy and musky. Spicy would be ginger, clove, nutmeg. I think of the kind of warm really fall scents. Some of you have the fall blends in your kits, and those include some of the spicier scents like cinnamon. And then musky would be frankincense and myrrh. And I don't have a great way to describe those scents other than musky. They're really just one that you have to try for yourself. Both of these have really good therapeutic properties, and they are good in topical skin products. So let's talk a little bit more about our emotions. So the aroma is what our physical body smells. It's what enters our nose and what our olfactory senses intake and sends signals to our brain. Our brain then therefore creates emotions from that. So emotions that essential oils can generate include energy. So I talked about the citrus oils, lemon and lime. They can have a very invigorating, uplifting scent. It can generate safety, like the lavender and the clove. It feels really homey and warm. Peace. Vetiver is a really grounded scent that is used in a lot of kind of woodsy, earthy blends. There are oils that can generate clarity. Peppermint is one. Rosemary, spearmint. It is kind of a wake up to the senses whenever that sharp smell is used. So these scents are used in a lot of blends that really prioritize focus. Tomorrow we will talk more about mindfulness when using the oils. Being really intentional with routines and with associations, and not just looking at tasks as a way to, get through to the next task, but really focusing on the task at hand and what I'm doing and being present in the moment is something that I have found myself focusing more and more on as an adult. And the reason for that is because we live busy lives and it's really easy for time to pass us by. But if we are taking in moments with all of our senses, with every power that we have to be grounded in a moment, it feels fuller. It feels more intentional and mindful, and oils are a really fun way that I've incorporated that into my life. Cal actually has a really fun time with our nighttime routine. He'll help me fill his diffuser. He got his own. He'll help me fill his diffuser, and it is an association part for him too, because it's kind of like a stimulation and then a response. So it's time for bed, we fill the diffuser, he smells the lavender, and it just kind of kicks off that routine. And it's a really fun, cozy moment. So it's not just a rush to the next thing to complete the next task. It's something that we can do together and have a moment to breathe and be, to do something that just feels good. So now that we know more about the aromas and what their certain profiles are, we can make good blends. So a blend is a combination of several different oils to achieve a certain scent or achieve a certain effect. And it's not a perfect science, so don't think that there's like one way to do it or that there's a specific formula, because that's not it. This is a very free-flowing thing. It's not like it's a scientific formula. But kind of a rule of thumb that I use is to make a well-rounded blend, to use a combination of top oils, middle, and base. So these are kind of like the different notes that you want to hit in the same blend. So a top oil I would describe as bright and cheery or uplifting, like a citrus or a floral, something that feels on the higher end of that scent scheme. A middle note would be more balancing and warming or grounding, and then a base note would be calming, like a deeper, richer scent to really ground the complete blend. Kind of what I use when I'm making a blend is 2 top, 2 middle, and 1 base as a ratio. So it's not the number of drops, it's just kind of the percentages of each. Maybe in the future we can do a little 3-day course on blending, and we can try out new things, experiment with different scents. I think that would be fun. This concludes day 2 of Introduction to Oils. Thank y'all again for joining me. Tomorrow we will talk more about the specific products that I'm using in my life, not just diffusing them, but in the products that I'm using. And I will kind of tell you about where my journey is headed with essential oils and natural clean living. And maybe I can hit a few high points on where you can start if you're looking to do the same. See you tomorrow.